Yeah, that's right. I see the chat. I see y'all rocking. I see y'all coming. Hit that like button as you enter the building. You know what I'm saying? Hit that like button. Show your love. Show your support. You know what I'm saying? This that dope soul. This that new thing. Nobody don't know about it.
Hello, Knick family. Welcome to the Just KNICKIN Weekly Show. I'm your host, Stephanie, a.k.a. Queen, joined by three of my co-hosts, Geoff, Klafter. I am Jerrell, Ajay, the villain. We have a lot to talk about tonight. I'm not sure we're going to get to it all, but we have passed I am Jerrell's 20-game threshold. And so now we can talk about the Knicks and kind of give our initial assessments about what we've seen. So we'll talk about Mike Brown. We'll talk about the double big lineup. We'll talk about who's benefited the most, the least, the offense, the defense. The big question, whether or not you still feel the Knicks are a championship contending team with what you've seen. Obviously, the caveat is there's more growth to be had from this team, but just from what you've seen so far, do you think they still have the bones of a championship contending team? Do you think they small roster moves that you think can shore up our position as a contender? And then of course we'll talk about the Giannis mumbo jumbo trade talk. Anyway, Geoff, Ajay, Jerrell, how you fellas doing?
Great.
What up? What up? Salute to the chat.
Salute.
Happy to be here.
Amen.
Yeah, I missed you guys. Last week Thursday was Thanksgiving. Hopefully everybody had a good Thanksgiving. Um, so it's only been 1 week, but it seems like it's been a minute.
For
All
sure.
right. Anyway, let's get right into it, and let's start at the top with Mike Brown. The Knicks went to the Eastern Conference Finals last year, 2 games short of the finals. Tom Tip for the first time in 25 years. Tom Thibodeau was fired. The front office thought that the Knicks could have done better. The sense I get is that perhaps they thought Tom Thibodeau was holding them back. I thought also that he may have lost the support of the team, or at least they didn't rally around him. In the meetings in which Dolan was present, a lot of complaints about, minutes, inflexibility when it comes to lineups, things of that sort. And they went after a few coaches and they landed on Mike Brown. And Mike Brown said all the right things in the press conference about how he plays 9.5 to 10 guys, and how he leans on the coaching staff and what he wanted to do as far as making the game easier for Jalen Brunson. And then you guys, if I missed something, can throw that in, when you talk about it. Was Mike Brown your choice, or when you heard that they were hiring Mike Brown, were you like, "Wow, I like this. I'm really looking forward to this," or were you like, "My, jeez, I mean, you fire coach and you gonna bring in Mike Brown?" Like, what were your thoughts when you heard of the hire? And then we'll get into what he's done so far. Jeff, you wanna start?
Yeah, I wasn't overly crazy about the Mike Brown hire. I don't think.
Hmm.
I think he's a good NBA coach. I was more in a wait and see pattern with him. It wasn't like, oh, the sky is falling. We got Mike Brown, and it's not, oh, time to do cartwheels. We got Mike Brown. I kind of thought in a lot of ways he was going to be similar to Thibodeau, in good ways. Like I thought he would bring that floor of competence that we saw consistently from Thibodeau's teams, and I think that we've seen that so far. So from that aspect, so far so good. Look, no matter who we hired as coach, we're going to have issues with them, right? When things go wrong in an 82-game season, the easiest person to blame is the coach. And the irony is with Thibodeau is that he was winning a ton of games and still was the focus of a lot of that ire. And I think that had to do with a lot. We expected that this roster could do more. We'll see. That remains to be seen whether that's true or not. But I think that, through 21 games, the schedule's been kind of light, I think. So, but I don't know that when we did our when we did our show looking at the schedule in the preseason, that many of us thought we were going to be a whole lot better than 14-7. I think Ajay might have had us at like 19-4 or something like that, or but I think for the most part, I think he's pretty much in
that range. Okay,
right
right
area code.
Yeah, we were definitely going to get into it. Jerrell and then Ajay, just what was your thinking when Mike Brown was first hired, and then we're going to do a deep dive into what we've seen so far.
Well, for me, my first choice was Jason Kidd, even though he wasn't available, obviously. When the rumors came about that he was, they wanted Jason Kidd, I actually liked that, because to be honest, I wanted Jason Kidd when we hired Tom Thibodeau, when they interviewed him then too. So that was just me being a Jason Kidd fan. But, when they hired Mike Brown, I wasn't, I might be right in the middle of like how you was acting. Like I wasn't too excited, but it's not like I was really down either. So when he became our head coach and I started listening to his press conferences more, the main thing that he said that everything was going to be more collaborative. That obviously has been the case. I know a lot of people thought that he was just going to be another Tibbs. But yeah, I think it's a real stark difference when it comes to stuff like that. Like when you listen to Tibbs, he always gave the same answers. You got to look at the tape, how many times you need to watch the game and stuff like that. But Mike Brown seemed like he's really open to what everybody is thinking and what everybody wants out of this roster. Like we're going to probably get into individual players later, but like you could tell how Mikal Bridges is playing compared to when he was with Tom.
All right, Jerrell, leave a little meat on the bone now. Leave a little he's on full into the player.
I'm sorry, but yeah, like Mike Brown, it's just that you could tell that he listens. It's not like it's just his show. Right. And I like that. As long as he continues that, obviously there's only been so many games we can't really fully evaluate him. But as long as he keeps being open, and as long as he keeps being open, I'm cool with that. So I'm happy with him so far.
Yeah, we definitely, as soon as Ajay says what he has to say about the hire itself, we're definitely going to do a deep dive, because I can see the panelists chomping at the bit to really get into what Mike Brown has brought to this team. Ajay, when you learned of the hire, what were your thoughts? And then we'll get into where it is, your thoughts now.
So I didn't have a problem with the Mike Brown hire, but there were a couple of other finalists too. I don't remember who. I don't even remember who
the ex-Minnesota coach.
Oh, Boldenheiser.
No, I mean Memphis coach. I'm sorry.
Memphis.
Borrego.
Oh yeah. I mean
Borrego as well. Yeah.
Borrego. Yeah. I mean it. Mike Brown was not a terrible choice. First of all, I was over Tibbs. I thought he did his part. He took us to as far as he could have with his philosophy. I would say, with the roster that we had, I just felt like it was good to have a different voice for the for the players. And so I wasn't. I was okay with Mike Brown, because all the Johnny Bryant talk and all that stuff, man. I didn't want to hear none of that. Not that Johnny Bryant can't be a good coach. It's just that he's not proven. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I'm not trying to bring him here when you try to win a championship. No knock on the guy, man. He's like a very young coach, and wherever he goes, he has positive impact. Can he be a head coach? I don't know. So I wasn't trying to go into the I don't know field, right. With a head coach. So yeah, I didn't have a problem with it. What was the second leg of that question?
Yeah. Say that again?
No, I said, what was the second leg of that question?
No, there was only one leg. Jerrell and Geoff made it into a two.
Oh, okay.
Question, it was
two 3-leg question, because Jerrell went off there. I mean, he was.
We're gonna come back to Jerrell first. He seemed to have a lot to say. We're gonna come to him first. I actually like the Mike Brown hire. I was with you, Ajay. I did not want Johnny Bryant or any unproven coach.
Right.
I was looking for somebody who was similar to Thibodeau in some respects. And when you read some of the articles about Mike Brown, there was some elements that were kind of Tib-like, but I was really looking for the offensive schemes and the defensive schemes and the lineups. Like I just felt like those were the areas for me that I needed the new coach to be different from Thibodeau. I was not someone who was screaming about the minutes. Like that wasn't a big thing for me. But lineups, offensive schemes, defensive schemes, and just reading about Mike Brown and the experience that he had, which was super important for me for a team who had just went to the Eastern Conference Finals. I was super happy with the Mike Brown hire, and you know, I know this is a one leg question. I'll just give just one sentence. I haven't been disappointed of yet. But we're gonna go, around again, and we'll start with Jerrell. Just what were you expecting from Mike Brown, and what have you gotten? And are you? I'm gonna say like 15 different things. You pick what you want. Like,
Mhm.
what were you expecting? Did you get what you were expecting? Were you pleasantly surprised about anything? Like anything about Mike Brown and the 20 plus games that he's um, been here that you liked or even didn't um, haven't liked?
It's pretty much what I expected, and I do like the offense. Seemed like it's a little bit more ball movement. Don't get me wrong, Jalen Brunson is still Jalen Brunson, and the gravity of him, comes with that cat too. But you can tell that the offense is a little different. It's a little smoother. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I thought the defense would be a little bit better, but I'm not sure if we'll talk about individual players a little later. I don't fully think that
Mm-hmm.
that's Mike Brown's fault. I think that's a player thing. But from what I expected, I expected him to do a good job. I didn't, like I said, I didn't, wasn't jumping up and down for Mike Brown, but it's not like, I thought he was a bad coach. I think so far he's been doing a good job. And when it comes to expectations, we only lost one game at home so far. Our road
Mm-hmm.
record could be a little bit better, but we're beating the teams we're supposed to beat. So from an expectation standpoint, that's all I'm really looking for right now until at least the All-Star break. He hasn't even had like a full roster for the most part. Like Mitchell
Right.
Robinson, is missing every other game. OG Anunoby missed half the damn games out of the 20 we supposed to be evaluating. So,
Right.
you really can't tell what Mike Brown can do with this roster yet. But when it comes to expectations, I think he's not exceeded my expectations. They're around on par with what I thought it was going to be.
Are you encouraged? I know there's been, to your point, players missing games. Brunson has missed 2 games as
Mhm.
well. Do you feel like we're heading in the right direction offensively? Like, are you like super stoked about the possibilities of the offense, or not quite?
Yeah, I think the offense is fine. I don't have problems with the offense at all. I think it's more ball movement, like I said, and when in clutch time, I do expect Jalen Brunson to take most of the shots and have the ball in his hands. So yeah, I'm pleased with the offense. It's the defense that I'm more concerned about.
Yeah, I think one of the things we're learning, and we'll talk about the defense specifically a little later on, is OG stirs the drink on that end of the court for us. And
Yep.
missing him, I mean, it's like Jenga, that last little piece, like you pull that
Right.
last little piece out.
And it's not like our defense was lights out when he was here. It's just a lot
That's
worse when
true.
he's not.
Yeah, that's fair. That is fair. Um, Jeff.
I think he's probably has met my expectations. This is a really good team. We've won 2/3 of our games, so so far so good. He's the the spray and pray offense is pretty interesting. I like the concept of it. Not a fan of Huck Porty giving up a surefire dunk and passing it out to McBride for a 3, but he's still a young player, so we'll let that go. But no, I think considering the circumstances and some of the challenges that he's had, he's done a good job so far. And really, we're not really going to be able to judge him until the postseason, though, right? I mean, you got to assume he inherited a roster that was definitely a playoff roster. So hopefully we stay in that top 6 at least, and hopefully we're in the top 1 or 2. Those are my expectations. But you know, this is not a coach who was hired to, you know, just make the playoffs. This was a coach who was hired to get us to the next plateau, which is at least the NBA finals, right? And fair or not, that's kind of where he's at. So for right now, we're just, it's just, pre-bake oven right now time. The crucible hasn't even hit yet, and it won't until, postseason starts.
Anything you're surprised about with Mike Brown? Anything that you really wasn't considering, but find that like, wow, I kind of like this?
Not that I can think of offhand. I don't think there's anything that stands out. I mean, he kind of is who I thought he was. He's competent. I don't know that he's the best tactician in the world. I think that's something that we'll learn as the playoffs come. Is he a guy who's going to be able to make adjustments in game and have them work successfully? The Boston game certainly didn't look like that was a forte of his. It seemed like he let Jaylen Brown go off for entirely too long before adjusting his scheme. But yeah, so that remains to be seen also, but I don't know that there's anything that just said, oh, I didn't think we were going to do that. I thought we were going to be one of the elite offenses in the league, and we are, and I thought we were going to struggle on defense, and we do.
Okay. Ajay?
What do I like so far about Mike Brown?
Yeah, just what have you seen about Mike Brown? Has he met your expectations? Like, what were you wanted to see when he came in, and do you think he's delivered that so far? 20 plus games.
In terms of coaching itself, I don't even know what my expectation was. What my expectations were. I just wanted to see a different style of coaching, and he, like I think Geoff mentioned, that he would. Everybody felt he was going to be a lot like Tibbs. I don't think he's a lot like Tibbs. There are similarities, obviously, right? Because a lot of coaches in the league have certain certain similarities between them. Okay, but he does a lot of things that I like. I like his flexibility when it comes to the lineups that he throws out there. I like that he doesn't. A lot of times he doesn't really respond to the other team's lineup. He's kind of like he goes ahead with what he's doing, and the other team adjusts. At least that's what I see so far. I don't know if that's a good thing. That maybe it's because of the injuries, or maybe it is because of Mike Brown, but the starting lineup, and again, I don't know if that's a good thing. I like that the starting lineup is not the same every time. I think he tweaks it a little bit depending on who the opponent is. I kind of feel like he's doing a different job at managing the team, right? It's not just coaching. Like, you got to manage the team, right? You manage what's out there. You manage the plays. You call the plays. You call the schemes. You call you put what's out there to match, or you challenge the other team to match you. And so I feel like he's doing a good job at that. More like the last few seasons, when I feel like we literally had a cookie cutter type of coaching and substitution pattern that everybody could read before they go into the game. They know what's coming. So that's one of the things I like about him. I don't know what kind of result that's going to yield. I mean, so far so good, right? Doesn't mean we're going to end up the season being super satisfied, and doesn't mean that we won't be happy with at the end of the season. But right now, we're in third place or whatever. We're I think maybe like 2 or 2.5 games behind first. So far so good. And Queen, I think you mentioned he hasn't had a full roster to work with, right? And maybe if we had a full roster, we would have been, that 2.5 game would not have been a 2.5 game. Maybe it would have been at the top of at the Eastern Conference. You know what I'm saying? But so far, I don't have a lot of issues with what I see from Mike Brown.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm definitely happy with what with what I'm seeing so far. I like, I like some of the similarities. Like I like, as much as he said he's playing, he's going to play 29 people, like it's really down to 7, 8 right now due to injury, So, he's kind of similar in the sense that if there's injuries, I'm going to extend the minutes of the guys that I trust. You know, if there's even more injuries, okay, then I will go down the bench and put some guys, into the rotation. Last night Carl Anthony Towns played 39 minutes on the second half of, a back to back, and the starters played down to like the 2 minute mark. So, that's a similarity though. When we're healthy though, he's he does tend to stick to a minutes chart, when we are healthy. um he has not played the kids. He has not. When we are fully healthy, Kolick, Hakom Daddier, Huck Porty, those guys are not in the rotation, right? So I think that was a big thing when he was hired, that we were going to see more of them, and that just has not been the case. Um, protecting the paint, that's also, a similarity, and I'm okay with all of those things. I needed him to be different in other ways, and I'm really seeing that. Like, I like the lineup versatility. It's just a different approach. There's something to be said for, we're going to come out the gate with the starting lineup, we're going to give them as many reps, as possible. But Mike Brown is kind of like, you know what? I'm going to mix it up a little bit. That continuity is not going to be there, and it may impact us a little bit to start the season. But as the season goes on and we get into the playoffs, these guys will be used to playing with different lineups, and we'll be better and we'll be stronger for it. And so, we did the double big lineup. When Mitch was out, you would think he would come with Huck Porty. No, he went 5 out and came with, Shamit. Now lately, due to injuries, both Deuce and, Josh Hart is in the lineup. So I do like that part. I like the part that even when it was a double big lineup, they played like maybe, I don't know, 10 minutes, 10 minutes together, if that. I like that, he's come through on his promise to make things easier for Brunson. Brunson doesn't appear to be. I mean, we can get all into the stats. The Knicks are passing more, the usage is down, less dribbles per second. Go to another show for that. But just in terms of the eye test, it seems like Brunson is it's an easier game for him. Bridges is bringing the ball down, bringing the ball up. McBride is bringing the ball, up more. Brunson is playing off ball, a little more. Some games, some games it looks the same. So I like that he's made good on that promise. And I know last year I wanted to see Bridges handle the ball more. Bridges is handling the ball more, and guys have seemed to McBride is stepping up, Shamit is stepping up, OG's game seems to have gotten better. So guys are thriving under Mike Brown. Defensively, we shall see. We shall see. And he's played more zone, right? He has played more zone. So I like what I see from Mike Brown. I like listening to the press conferences. You actually get something from the press conferences. So I like that. And but he has his way of doing things too. Like, all coaches have favorites, if you will, that you can't quite understand, right? I'm like, why is Shamit in the, starting overdue? So why is Shamit playing, more minutes than this players, right? But that's, all coaches will identify a player that they feel plays really well in this system. So I was happy with the hire, and I'm happy with what I'm seeing from Mike Brown. And to Jeff's point, whether or not he's a tactician or not, we're not going to know that until we get into the playoffs. We're just not going to. We're just not going to know. Um, anything else? Anybody else want to say anything about Mike Brown and what you've seen so far? No. Okay. All right. Everybody has so much to say when we was just doing the introductions to Mike Brown. Now,
Oh, well, how you like his I guess maybe not his personality, but him giving like the defensive player of the game.
I like that a lot,
Stuff like that.
actually.
you
Yeah, I
do?
like
I
that
think
too.
it's corny though. I think it's
Some of
little
it's a little
corny.
corny, but I get it sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Camaraderie and stuff like
You,
that. He
yes.
gave it to Huck Porty last night. That ain't make no sense though. He played like 13
I
minutes,
thought Huck Porty played
two re-
well.
two rebounds in 13 minutes, and he got the defensive player of the game. Who the hell was playing defense then?
It's those 6 fouls, man.
And he fouled out.
Yeah, but he was. I mean, I thought he played well too. The verticalities, the rotations, the block shots. Yeah, I mean, from a camaraderie standpoint, I do like that. He's always given guys credit in press conferences, given his coaching staff credit in press conferences. So and so came up with that. That wasn't me.
Yep.
When it came to Josh Hart in the lineup, I wasn't really thinking about that. But
Yep.
if 600 other people say this should be it, then maybe something is, maybe I'm off and I should take another look at it. I really do like that about Mike Brown. And he said, I may not always agree or do it, but I will listen. And so I do like that camaraderie part. But he'll also call the team out, right? Like he did earlier, in the season as well. So yeah,
I
but
mean,
yeah.
now I was gonna say a couple of things I want to add.
hmm
So it seems to me like he actually takes inputs from the assistant coaches.
Yeah.
It appears that he does that like during
Well,
the
he
games.
said as
Like,
much.
but I mean, when you see it, you see him talking to the assistant coaches during the game, and like they're going through stuff like through what's going on the floor, and making or at least trying to make adjustments to what's going on. Sometimes they don't make adjustments fast enough, like like the Boston game, but at least you see that there is that communication between him and the coach. So, and defensively, like one of the things he does that we haven't seen in years is like there's a couple of games we've seen a little zone defense, and it was very, very effective for those games. So he's willing to do certain things that we haven't seen, and that's the flexibility that I was talking about, not just with the rotation with the lineup, but then with the schemes. Like he's willing to try different things, and I don't think he tries them on the court like the first time. I think they actually practice those things, you know what I'm saying, and they prepare for those things. So I think he's putting in some work, and let's see what that yields at the end of the season.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, listen, every coach has their own philosophy. Like his philosophy is when the bench is in, the bench is in, no matter how the game is going. I'm going to keep the bench in. That's not, I don't like that. To me, that's inflexibility, you know? But that's his philosophy. I'm going to keep the bench out there and they're going to have to play through it. I think it does show confidence in the bench, but some of these benches, particularly in, I believe it was the Boston game, I was like, okay, all right. Enough is enough, So, again, every coach has their philosophy, and that's his. He's gonna ride. He's gonna ride with those players. He's not gonna be quick to bring, the starters, back in the game. And you know, it is, it is what it is. Um, and schematically changing things up a little quicker. Like he started blitzing Jalen Brown in the fourth quarter. He was cutting us up all game. So yeah. Overall, I'm pretty pleased, but it's what I thought. every coach is going to have their own philosophy that they are going to stick to. And that's just it.
Right.
And I think he's getting a lot of points because he's different from Thibodeau. But at some point, we're going to have to start judging him on the results and not just on being different from, from
Mhm.
Thibodeau. Who do you think has benefited the most from his coaching style, from the schemes? Yeah. Ajay, we'll start with you, then Jerrell and Jeff. Who do you think has benefited the most from his coaching style
One
or
player,
scheme?
who's obviously actually there's more than one.
Hmm.
Um, Mikal Bridges is the first person that comes to mind.
Right.
He involves Mikal Bridges more in the offense, whether it's him bringing up the ball or trying to set up the offense, or him playing off ball. Okay, he's usually um, he's usually in the right position, Mikal Bridges, and so sometimes he doesn't hit a shot, but a lot of times he has the shots.
Hmm.
Put him in position to succeed. Um, and his defense hasn't. It's not like he's not losing his defensive output while playing better on offense.
Right.
So I think Mikal Bridges benefits a lot from that. Another player who also benefits, and I don't know if it's really a benefit to Mike Brown, who understands how to play him, or if it's just like he's developed to the point where he's a little bit better now, is Deuce McBride.
Hmm.
Deuce McBride he's having a very, very, very good season under Coach Mike Brown. So I don't, again, it could be a combination of the change of coach, also you're putting him in a different position, but also of him improving. Like he's bringing up the ball more, so he's a little more comfortable doing that, and he's obviously shooting better this season, right? So I think it's a combination of both. At least those two guys are playing better. We could talk about Landry Shamet, who's been having a tremendous season until he got hurt. Even though there was a little bit of inconsistency in there, right? But when he was,
I was about to say.
yeah, he was coming around and he was very good, either starting or coming off the bench. Um, a lot of guys are playing better. I mean, I'll stop at 3, but there's more.
Okay. All right. Jerrell?
I think it's obviously Mikal Bridges. My X factor is back. You know what I'm saying? It took him a year to get comfortable. I mean, you could tell it was going to be Mikal Bridges anyway, just because of his relationship with Tibbs. Like before last year, I don't think people even knew what Mikal Bridges' voice sounded like. But for the first time ever, he spoke against a coach in the public. Like he's never done that before in his whole career. So I kind of figured that he was one of the reasons that, Tibbs isn't here anymore. Maybe obviously not the only reason, but
Right.
I think his relationship with him is a factor, as with Cat also. But yeah, it's Mikal Bridges, man. He's a lot more free. I agree with everything Ajay said about how he's playing. He's been a little bit more consistent, but I think it's a combination between him being more comfortable. He's been here for over a
Right.
season now, and a combination of Mike Brown and how he's using them. It's not just the coach.
Right.
But yeah, it's Mikal Bridges. Like he's actually playing like the X factor that I thought he would be on this team.
And he fixed his shot, right?
Yeah.
Like he did that,
Yep.
he fixed his shot, as well. Um, Jeff, Jeff, I don't know if they left any meat on the bone for you, but
Well, they didn't leave it on that side of the bone, but I'm going to go in a different direction just so we can we don't sound like an echo chamber. I'm going to say OG Anunoby because I think that prior to the hamstring injury, he was on an all NBA defensive trajectory, and his offense was really good too. Like we always talk about 3A and 3B. Well, it just looked like we had 3, right? Because OG was coming through with a lot of monster performances. As you like to point out, Queen, his rebounding was up. Like that was one of the things that we wanted from him to start the year. So and his 3-point shooting was good. I thought his offensive process was good, and we've all seen what a disaster area the defense is without him. So I think Bridges is an obvious choice, and I think Bridges has played great, but I think he's also had a great effect on Anunoby as well.
Yeah. And, part of what we're seeing from Bridges is him stepping up also in the absence of, OG Anunoby. So yeah, OG hasn't played in so long. I forgot about how well he was playing before he went down with the hamstring injury. He was playing both sides of the ball, and he didn't look like he was tired at all either. you know, um, doing what he did. So it's kudos to the Knicks though, and those who have stepped in his absence, that the team is still kind of chugging along without him, because he's an important part of what we're doing. So yeah, I don't really have anything to add to to those guys. I think when it comes to McBride, I don't see much difference in McBride's game, except that there's more ancillary stats. Like he's doing more, and because he was last year he started bringing the ball up, versus pressure. We always knew about his um, point of attack defense. We always knew about his shooting. He's been much more consistent over the last, 4 or 5 games. But when you look at the box score at the end of the game, you'll see like 4 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal. You'll see, contributions in more areas. And I can't even say he's more confident, because he was confident out the box when he shouldn't have been, in my opinion.
Hardly
he
any
was.
turnovers too. I think that's a good thing with McBride. Right? He's a very
Yes,
low turnover player,
he is a
and his
low turnover.
assist numbers feel like they're up. So that's a good
Yeah,
combination as well.
absolutely, absolutely. And I don't know about Shaman. I think Shaman and Deuce has separated himself lately in terms of consistency. But both of those guys to me was just so inconsistent from game to game. Not inconsistent in effort, but just inconsistent in their shot making. But that being said, they both would have an impact on the game, whether they were shooting well or not. They both have gravity. They both create space. They both compete, defensively, and they both are an asset to a 5-out lineup. They really are. So I think with the core four that we have, I don't, because somebody had said I think it was on Twitter, that Shaman nor McBride are good enough. But I mean, you can't have 5 all-stars at every position, right?
Right.
So if you have the core four, yeah, a Shaman or a McBride, and if they're knocking down shots around those guys, I think that's fine. In terms of who may be struggling a bit, I don't know if you could say struggling under Mike Brown in the system, or just struggling, period. Where would you go, Jerrell?
That's tough. I don't know if anybody is like struggling compared to like last year. Um,
Or just
well, maybe
overall?
I wouldn't say that he's struggling anymore per se, especially with his shot. But it seemed like Cat seemed like he was a little lost at times, especially on defense. And he struggled from the field too, but I don't really think that had anything to do with Mike Brown though. In terms of how Mike Brown uses everybody, I don't know. I don't think anybody is necessarily struggling for compared to how they played last year. So I don't think I really have a answer for that one, Steph.
Right, Jeff?
Well, I actually agree with Jerrell that Towns did struggle from a field goal shooting perspective for a long time, considering what a historically great shooter he is. So that was a little bit stunning. But how is that attributable to Mike Brown? I'm not sure that it is or that it isn't. I kind of feel like he doesn't utilize either Brown or Brunson in their best way all the time, but And Brunson's 3-point shooting has not really been as good as it has been in seasons past, which is odd because I feel like he gets a lot of catch and shoot opportunities that he didn't have before. So you would think that his percentages would be up, and they're not. But I mean, I'm not going to complain about how either one of them are playing, but I would think that both of those two have seemed to have had the biggest adjustment. And I think Brunson at a time struggles to get his teammates shots, compared to what he takes. And, that doesn't, not that to say that everybody has to take the same amount of shots, because I don't think that has to be the case. I mean, I definitely want Brunson shooting more than Josh Hart, for example. But as far as specifically in terms of Towns, I want to see his shot diet heavier. And I'd even like to see Bridges' shot diet heavier. Also, I kind of understand with Bridges, but I guess it's with Towns too. Maybe their personalities are a little bit more laid back in that aspect. But I would like to see us feature those two guys earlier and more often in the offense. But struggle is kind of a hard word, but because I don't think anybody's truly struggling. But I would say if you're going to pick someone, I think Cat in terms of just his shot making, and Brunson in terms of his 3-pointers, and a little bit in terms of his process as far as getting his teammates involved.
Would the process be any different than last year, or is the same issue from last year in terms of process?
That's a good question, because we did have similar struggles last year. So, so that's a good point that I didn't really consider, but that's true. So, it may just be a lack of fit between those two. I don't know. I hadn't really considered that. I'll have to think on that.
Yeah, I think some of it is just Brunson. I wish we had like a Freezy or Delusional or somebody else, Lee Escobedo, who could speak more to the schemes, right? The schematics, of Mike Brown's system. Because I don't think, to the eye test, it looks like Towns is getting his shots the same way he got him last year. Like I don't see much different in his shot diet. Top of the key, 3-pointer, drive from the top of the key, post up, right? I don't really see much different in his shot diet, but Towns has alluded to it on a couple of occasions, a few occasions. I'm just taking the shots that I'm getting. I'm just taking what comes to me. Um, I wonder if he feels that he's not as prominent in the offense as he once was, and quite frankly, that's going to happen in a offense where now you're trying to share the ball more and you're trying to get more players, and the shots have to come from somewhere, right? And so there doesn't seem to be a pecking order, right? On some teams, there's a pecking order in terms of the number of shots people get, other than Brunson. After that, it's just like, you get the shots, you get the shots. That being said, there's some times where I feel like I want Bridges to have the second most shots on the team. Like I find with Cat, me personally, losing trust is a bit strong. Losing trust is a bit strong. But with Cat, I just feel like some games he's so strong in his decision making. He's so decisive in his moves. His process is so crisp in terms of who he's posting up, who he's gonna drive on. And then there's other games where I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like, what are you doing with the ball? You know? So I kind of go back and forth with Cat in terms of how many shots he should get. However, and the Knicks did this last night, when you're playing a team where he clearly has the advantage, go to him. And he took the most shots on the team last night versus Charlotte. He had the highest usage on the team last night, and it should have been that way last night. I just feel like with Cat and other fans may have already been here where I'm at now. Like sometimes I'm like, I'm not feeling Cat tonight. I'm just not feeling how he's handling himself on offense tonight. Um, but yeah, I do think that Cat may struggle is a strong word. Taking some time to adjust, and I'm not sure if it's just him system wise. I'm not sure what it is.
Steph,
Yeah.
real quick, for when you say that he does turn it off and on like that, it's a theory that a lot of fans think that he plays well against bad teams, that he plays, inconsistent against
hmm
good teams. So you think that are you saying that's a part of it, or is just randomly he just act like he's lost, and or you think like the competition that we play against has something to do with it?
Yeah, I don't know if it's good teams versus bad teams. I, I you know, or if it's the person who's defending him, whether they're strong or not strong. I just feel like, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay, because everybody was frozen on my screen. Um, I just feel like he's playing certain players. Say somebody like Sar from Washington, whoever
Mhm.
he played last night. He will bully those players, and he should.
Mhm.
When he's playing stronger players, you can't bully those players. Stop trying. Like you gotta go to something else. You're 7 foot tall. You could shoot over the top. You got a hook shot. You could drive to the basket. Like I just don't like his process when he's playing against stronger players. I just feel like stop bodying. Like stop trying to bully. That's when you go to your finesse game. You know? So yeah, it's just some games I'm not appreciating his process. I just feel like this guy on the offensive end, he has everything. He has everything. Like he should be unstoppable offensively no matter who you put on him because he has the skill set to do it all. You know? I'm not taking somebody who's stronger than me down in the post and trying to bump up against him and bully. Like, what are you be doing here? You know? And then he's dribbling really high when he does that. Somebody else is digging down, trying to swipe the ball. It just looks like a mess. I just feel like you got to go in a different direction against stronger, players. Dwayne Dennis says they're not using Cat to his strengths. I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
I think Cat is versatile. I think he determines how he plays offense, not Mike Brown. No, like how they use him, whether he wants to take outside shots or go down low. I think that's up to him, right?
I agree.
Like, doesn't he have he's good enough to be able to pick and choose? Like he's a 3-level scorer. So I don't know about how they use him. How they use him for me, that I would like more. I would like the ball in his hand more for him to be a playmaker. If you're talking
Nice.
about something like that, then yeah, I definitely agree. But I don't think his shot diet or shot selection, how they use him has anything to do with how they use him. I think that's on Cat.
And listen, they can try different schemes, different actions. Whatever they try is going to get him in the same spots he's in right now, right? Like whatever actions they use is going to get him in the post, going to get him, on the elbow. I there'll be different actions to get him the shot, but I don't see him getting shots in different places than he's getting right now. And I do
But
agree
to
with
play
you. I would
devil's
like to
advocate for
see the
just a
ball in his
minute,
hand more.
though, Queen,
Say that
look at
again, Jeff.
how can you hear me?
I got you, Jeff.
Yeah.
Okay. Just when you see him play with Tyler Kolek, for example, in the screen
True.
and roll, I think that's a very effective way to get him some easy points. And if you want to talk about playing to his strengths and utilizing him and making the game a little bit easier for him, I think that's an example of something that we could do more of. Just as an example, I think you were the one who pointed it out to me, actually, on either today or this morning's show or the one yesterday, how those two seem to have really good chemistry together, and he really gets him the ball in position where it's easier for him to score. So I do think that there are some things that you can do to utilize him better. But again, Mike Brown is learning in his personnel, right? He's had him for 20 games. Like he's gonna, as the more that he sees them play, the more he's gonna, figure out better ways to utilize them. So, but I do think that there are ways that we can use him better, and I don't think he and Brunson do a really good job, or really even run the pick and roll together very much. And I think that would be an extraordinarily potent way to utilize both of their strengths if they would do it. I know that for some reason Brunson likes to refuse the screen when Cat gives it a lot of the time. Not really sure why, but he's a 28 point a game scorer and I'm not, so who am I to judge? But I think some of those things, that they're just little things, but I think we could use Cat more effectively in a couple of different ways.
Geoff, I think that's a them thing. I don't even think that's a Mike Brown thing either when it comes to the pick and roll, because that's two coaches in a row that don't utilize the pick and roll with them, and it doesn't make sense. So I think, I don't know, there's something about them, they don't like it. It has to be. Like, it seemed like to me, like, I completely agree with Geoff. When it comes to the pick and roll with Brunson and Cat, seemed like it would be unstoppable. Like, I don't see how anybody will be able to play both of them the way they can score consistently like that. If that was our main focus on offense, and it's not, and it never has been.
Weird.
And that was one of the things we were looking forward to, right?
Yep. They refused to do it. So I think it's them. I don't even think that's a coaching thing. I think Mike Brown would give them freedom to do anything as long as it worked.
Yeah, but that's mind-boggling. Like, well, what are they seeing that we're not, or
they're not comfortable with
like,
it?
it seems so obvious. Like, the success of this seems obvious to all of us.
Yeah, so I don't know. Steph had to step away.
But I'm gonna answer it, like, because I think the question was who seems like struggling under Mike Brown. So aside from the obvious Cat, and like both you and Geoff pointed out, that it may not even be Mike Brown. It's just that he's struggling to start the season. Listen, players go through these stretches, right? I mean, it's it's on and off. He's had some good games in between all those bad games, right? So you expect him to pick it up. He's a professional. He's an all-star. He's an all-NBA. You know what I'm saying? So you expect it to pick up and stabilize at some point during the season. You just didn't expect it to take that long, right? But another player who in the beginning of the season I felt was struggling was Josh Hart. In the beginning of the season, when Josh Hart's, like, the first few games of the season, I'm like, are we gonna lose Josh? Because he seems out of place, out of sync, like completely out of the game. Like, we weren't getting those Josh Hart games until recently. Recently, we started getting those the Josh Harts that we used to. You know what I'm saying? But in the beginning of the season, it was a struggle, and I'm glad to see him come back to his regular self, not just on the hustle, but not just on the hustle plays, but also on offense. Like, he's actually has a few very good offensive games. And Josh Hart, anything more than 12, 14 points, you're like, wow, this is good, because that's just not what he brings to the team. If he brings that, that's a bonus in addition to the hustle plays that he brings. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So right now it seems like he's been getting better. He's been catching up or coming back to his old self, not just when he's coming off the bench, also when he had started the couple of games, right?
Yeah, because that's what I was going to ask you. You think seemed like he started doing that once he started becoming a starter again?
No, I think he was having good games coming off the bench already. You know what I'm saying?
I think with Hart, he was injured for training camp, so he didn't really get to he didn't really get in basketball shape or whatever you want to call it.
Mhm.
And so he was dealing with the injury, and then it just felt like, to me anyway, like once he was kind of, back in, in the flow and in the rhythm of the game, and back to, back to normal, so to speak, like that, then you started to see his play pick up. But the cool thing is he's in one of those stretches right now where he's really banging the 3-pointer really well, kind of like when when we first made that trade from Portland and he couldn't miss from beyond the arc. Like he shot like 50% for like the last 20 games of the season, and we thought we had hit the lottery, and then
gold.
and then then it came crashing back down to earth, and we're like, oh, this is why this guy's not an all-star.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad he's. But what do you guys think of the bench though? Because honestly, going into the season, I thought guys like Ariel Huckporty, especially with our big situation, I thought he was going to be getting a lot more minutes, right? And with Mitchell Robinson going in and out of the starting lineup, or even of sitting him down every couple of games or so, I thought guys like Huckporty was going to get some minutes, but that just hasn't happened.
Well, when it comes to the bench, I don't think Huckporty is the problem at all. I think it's obviously Yabusele. Yabusele, during the summer, he was their big free agent signing. As big as we can get. It's not like we had that much money, but it wasn't Clarkson. It was, Yabusele, and he's been, I don't want to. Yeah, I didn't want to say a failure. Disappointing is a better word. Like, he's been very disappointing so far. I didn't think he was going to come over here and light the world on fire, but I thought he was definitely going to be playing better than he's played so far. But we actually used him a lot differently than how Philly used him last year. It was a lot of pick and roll with him. He played more of the 5 for Philly, even though we don't like that. He plays more of the 4 and, just strictly stays on the outside and shoots 3-pointers. So I don't know if it's, he's struggling because of that, or he's just struggling because of something else. But we definitely do not use him like Philly used him.
I also think that we're not afraid to play small, right? I think Mike Brown likes the smaller lineups, or he doesn't necessarily even have to have a 5 on the floor, but and it kind of shows, like like Queen said, we've played a little bit of the double big lineup, maybe 5 or 10 minutes in the games that both Robinson and Towns have been healthy, but for the most part, he's much more comfortable with smaller lineups. And when OG was healthy, we even saw lineups with OG at the 5. And we've seen a lot of Towns at the 5, which I think is good, because I think it's I think it's where he's best and most effective, in my opinion. I prefer him at that spot, and I think just having Mitch back him up for 18 minutes or 15 minutes, whatever it's going to be, is the right utilization of both players. And if there are situations that call for it and it's working, you can go double big. But I haven't been a huge fan of the double big lineup when I've seen it this year. I don't think that it's been super effective anyway. And look, the Knicks' strength is their guards, and so they've really leaned into them, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. Just kind of catch me up on what you guys have been. What's been the topic since I've been gone?
It's just remember we were still on the same topic from when you left with it. Who was struggling, and Ajay just said, Josh Hart was struggling a little bit in the beginning of the season. That's all.
Yeah. From what I understand, he had a conversation with Mike Brown, Josh Hart, and the coaching staff had a conversation, with Mike Brown, just in terms of he does better. At least this was Josh Hart's conversation, that he does better with consistent minutes and kind of knowing when he comes in and when he goes out. That I think him moving into the starting lineup, I don't think that was injury related, right? I think he just there was a game when
I think it was OG's injury that
and he just decided to go with Josh Hart, correct?
I think it's when OG got hurt.
Yeah, OG and Shamet got hurt at the same time, so Deuce and Hart were kind of pressed into starting duty at the same time. I thought. I mean, I've slept since
But
then,
Mitchell
so
Robinson could have still started though.
true.
Yeah, Mitch has
Mitchell
started.
Robinson could have still started.
I actually wanted to bring Mitch up because we would talk about struggling. We could talk about his defense in a second, but yeah, from so far he started 9 games so far this season. He's played in 13 and started 9 of them.
Yeah, and when Hart was in the starting lineup, Mitch was available to. That was the first time Mitch was available to start, and he elected to start Josh Hart instead. Now it remains to be seen when OG comes back, who heads back to to the bench. We could talk about that, but to your point, Jerrell, let's talk about the double big lineup. Why do you think Mike Brown elected to make the change away from Mitchell Robinson? Do you have any thoughts on that?
I don't know, man. Like, it seemed like Mitch is struggling. Like, we always talk about how he could be a star in his role, and he hasn't been really a star in that, recently. Like, when he first came back, Mitch was a beast on the boards, and past, maybe week or so, it's been a little low for his, for his standards, and plus his defense in general. See, that's the thing. It seemed like everybody is struggling on defense, especially all of our bigs. Him, Cat, Yabusele, he don't really play that much defense anyway, but seemed like all the bigs seem like has regressed a little bit in defense. And that's saying something, because saying Cat regressed on defense is saying a lot. But he looks worse on defense than he did last year, and to me that's saying something. So I don't know if that's a scheme thing.
Don't you think that's a function of them switching a lot more?
It could be. That's why I think it probably a scheme thing. Seemed like it would have to be, because we all know Mitchell Robinson, one thing he can do is play defense. But it seemed like his feet don't move as fast as they used to. Yeah, I don't know what it is with Mitch. I don't think he's been, terrible or anything like that, but I thought he would do better at, protecting the rim and, having guys stay in front of him a little bit better than he has so far.
Do you think that was the reason for the change? Or, I mean, Mike Brown is the only one that can answer
Right.
this question of why he went away from the double big lineup. I didn't like it because Mitchell Robinson was only playing 17 minutes and wasn't playing back to back. So I'm like, you got a new coach, you got a new system. We need some continuity here. He's playing 17 minutes a game,
Right.
Put somebody else. Well, we know what that starting lineup is going to be, from game to game.
Yeah, I guess the only thing that just contradicts what Ajay said earlier, how, because I kind of do like the versatility of the starting lineups, but you're saying that you would rather just have a select starting 5 and that's it?
Yeah.
The
only reason he would change the starting lineup was because Mitchell Robinson wasn't there.
Yeah, true.
Right? If Mitchell Robinson was out, Shamet.
True. And then Shamet got hurt. Shamet and OG got hurt, just like Geoff said, at the same time. So yeah, like how do you evaluate Mike Brown when 3 of his rotation players are in and out of the lineup that much, and all 3 of them
evaluate what he's doing without him?
Right, all 3 of them are starters or have been starters so far this season. So you say you should evaluate him like now that he doesn't have them?
I don't have any issues with Mike Brown.
Okay.
With a full roster or with injured players. I think he's doing fine.
Okay. So what I'm trying to say, what else is next to the doctor? We talked about who's struggling, who's doing good about Mike Brown. You want to just talk about how in general, how we've been acting or not acting, how we've been looking the past, 20 games, or Ajay brought up the bench. I don't know if anybody will have anything else about the bench.
It's hard to evaluate the bench because they've been pressed into starters roles, right? Like they're, we've got, as you said, three of the guys who have been spotty on minutes are guys who have been in the starting lineup. So, it's tough to have consistent play from the bench when you don't even know if you're a bench player that night or not, right? And frankly, against Charlotte, at least it was that core five that dominated everything. I think we had 12 of our 119 points came from the bench, and 6 of them were from Clarkson, and the other 6 were from Kolek, I think. Yeah, Kolek, because Kolek had 6 points and 5 assists. He had a really nice game against Charlotte, but that team's more his speed as far as skill set too. So I'm not really surprised that he would be able to excel against the Hornets. But so from that standpoint, I can kind of see that. But I think Yabusele's clearly been a disappointment, whether it be role, whether it be how I think he's struggling to make adjustments. I think he's kind of like the little lost sheep at this point in a lot of ways. I saw some encouraging performances, and then the last couple games, I haven't really liked what I've seen from him at all. And then you have, Jordan Clarkson, my guy, he is who he is, right? And sometimes sometimes he makes great plays that you're like, whoo, we needed that. And then sometimes you're like it feels like he hasn't made a 3-point shot in like 3 weeks. I know it hasn't been that long, but he's not like, he's like 31% on the season, which isn't that far off from his career numbers, but a lot of nights where he goes 0 for 3, 0 for 6, but then he'll make a gorgeous drive into the lane and make a tough bucket when you need one too. So it's, I think we're going to need Clarkson, especially come playoff time. I'm kind of hoping he settles into kind of an Alec Burks kind of a role where, you can just put him in when he's going in the fourth quarter and just let him go on that heater. But then if he doesn't have it going, you can just say, okay, sit here next to Mr. Brunson. Rick needs a companion tonight, kind of a thing. But, other than that, McBride is playing starters minutes and is doing a really good job. Hart is playing starters minutes, doing a really good job. And that's really, other than Kolek, who, and Kolek's been useful. Let's be honest. He's shown that he can play the backup point guard role in small stretches. He's not a guy you can play for 20-25 minutes, but if you put him in for 5-10 minutes, he's shown that he can handle that kind of a minutes load, which is nice to know. Huck Porty's kind of been invisible up until last night. He didn't even really play for about a month, it felt like. And so kind of who else is there on the bench? Like, they're all thrust into starting roles or banished to oblivion, right?
I'm up here muted. There goes Steph. She back. What up, Steph?
We're just talking about the bench.
It's audio issues over here.
Yeah, Georgia kicking your butt today.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, off and on. Yeah, you was a little choppy, but you back now. Yeah,
the internet people are coming tomorrow.
Allegedly, the internet people. They were supposed to come last week, and then they're like, it's too cold. We're not coming.
I'm hoping.
Well, while you're here, Steph, is there anything else you wanted to get into real quick? Because it's only, we only been up here for a little over an hour.
We didn't talk about the green elephant.
I definitely want to get in. Yeah, we definitely got to talk about Giannis. But you guys finished up the Mitchell Robinson conversation.
Yeah, we was talking about the bench and stuff.
Okay, I think what I would add from Mitchell Robinson, and we've talked about this briefly on the recap show. He's just not looking like himself defensively as far as rim protection is concerned. And, you know, at this point, I've said it before, he's still a big piece of our defense. Don't get me wrong. But I just don't think he's at the point right now where he can cover up all of the Knicks' mistakes. You know, and so when OG comes back and you got Mitch and you get those lineups with Mitch and OG and Bridges and McBride, those will be a hell of a lineup. Um, this is just where Mitch is right now. And I don't even know if that's something that's going to continue, but players don't even seem to be, they used to be intimidated where they wouldn't even go into the lane if Mitchell Robinson was there. That's just not the case anymore. And I wonder if that was the reason why he was taken out the starting lineup.
Maybe.
You guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I wonder if that's why he was taking out the starting lineup. You know, Mike Brown was like, you know what? We put him in there to run protect next to Towns, Cat, and that's not happening. So, you know, we might as well go in, you know, in a different direction. Before we get to Giannis, I do want to talk about Deuce and Hart in the starting lineup right now. And when OG comes back, one of them has to head back to the bench. I don't think he might go back to Mitch at some point in the season as well. Who knows? But out of those three, like, are you somebody who feels like he should have stuck with the double big lineup? Do you think when OG comes back, go back to Mitch because Mitch and OG together will really solidify the defense? Are you of the mindset of stick with McBride, we have that 5-out lineup? Or are you of the mindset of if Josh Hart continues to shoot the way he's shooting, given what else, you know, he brings, I would stick with Hart. What's your thinking around who to keep in that starting lineup when OG comes back? Ajay? I
I
gotta go
mean,
to Ajay. I just feel like by the end of he's like Yabu, you know. It's like by the end of the game, the show, he's only talked like 10 minutes. You know what I mean? So we can go to you first.
with me, you know, and I've always said this. It depends on who the opponent is. I like that flexibility. I'm not for the same starting lineup all the time. I have no problem with Mike Brown switching up the starting lineup depending on who Queen froze. Switching up the starting lineup depending on who we're playing. But I have no problem with keeping the 5-out. I have no problem with the, unlike Geoff. You know, Geoff don't like the double big. I have no problem with that. I don't have any problem with it. And when Shamet comes back too, depending on who we're playing, I would have no problem because Shamet's done a pretty good job on a couple of games that he started. You know, and I don't remember who the opponent was. I have no problem with that one position, that we could be, you know, we flexible at that one position depending on who we playing. Like you have the guys that are steady, like the four, you know, the four-headed, the core four, as you call them. I have no problem with that fifth guy being, you know, whoever it is, depending on who playing or, you know, whatever's going on with people's health and so on and so forth. So I'm okay either way. It doesn't have to be a steady guy. And in fact, I would prefer it not to be the same guy every time.
I don't know. To me, it should be Deuce, and the reason I think it should be Deuce is the point of attack defense. I think it moves Bridges into a much better place where he can get more steals and blocks. I don't think I think Deuce does a better job than Bridges of defending the smaller, quicker players. I'm not saying he's elite or anything like that, but I just think it moves people. It moves people into more natural positions. I think Deuce and Brunson play well together when they're in the backcourt together. So even though they're undersized, I think that it's good. And Deuce's shooting helps the offense as well, and it allows us you know, to have more versatility from that standpoint. But to me, it should be Deuce or Shamet when he's healthy, because I think the point of attack defense and having either Deuce or Shamet being kind of the head of that snake has been really the best that we've played on defense, in my opinion. I like that look a lot better than I do any other. So that's where I would go.
For me, I've actually come around. Like I would have chose Deuce too, like Geoff, but now I think it's Josh. Like at the beginning of the season, I remember we did have this question, like, do you think Josh Hart should come off the bench or he should start? And I actually said he should come off the bench. I like his energy off the bench. I like his toughness off the bench. I think I like that stuff for our starting lineup now. Now that he's started these few games, like he's been flirting with a triple-double almost every time he started so far. Yeah, I like his energy. I like his rebounding. I'm okay with Deuce starting. I'm okay with Shaman starting too. I think he actually did a really good job compared to what I thought he would, like my expectations of Shaman in the beginning of the year, especially as a defender. But yeah, right now I'll pick Josh.
Now, if his shooting percentage from 3 regresses to the mean, is that's still your choice?
No, that's another conversation. that is another conversation. Like if he starts shooting, like he was shooting before, then yeah, I'm definitely gonna go to Deuce just like for all the reasons that you said, the point of attack defense and his shot. Like Deuce, I'm way more confident in Deuce's shot than Josh. It's just the other intangibles of Josh that I like now. But you're right. Like if he does get in a shooting slump, it'll look real ugly if he's starting playing, 37, 35 minutes and he's not shooting well. So hopefully he'll shoot well, knock on wood.
Knock on all the wood.
Yeah, Steph froze again, so I don't know where she want to go. Or she back, or is she not?
Oh,
like she was back. She unfroze a little bit.
She's got to be so frustrated. I feel for her. I've been there.
I've been there too. All of us have been there, man. You know how Steph is passionate about this stuff, especially since this is Giannis night too. We got to talk about the trade. I know she wants to talk about that before we get off, or we'll just have to, just talk about it when you guys have your show on Saturday, because we play. We don't play tomorrow though, do we?
Yeah, we do. We play Utah.
Oh, okay.
We play Utah, and then we play Orlando on Sunday for the 18th time this year.
See, that's what I was going to say too before we got off. Like we was going to talk about the schedule and the 20 games, stuff like that game on, because I thought that was going to be our next game, but I forgot that you guys are going to have a show on Saturday because we have a game tomorrow. That Orlando game I think is big. Like I think that's a big game, for a regular season game. Like you said, Geoff, we already played them. This is the 3rd time. They've been bullying us, and I don't like it. Like we need to win that game, man. Orlando is pissing me off. They're starting to become my new Atlanta. Like Atlanta and Miami was the 2 teams that really pissed me off. But now Orlando has leapfrogged them this year. Like the way they play us, pride
in beating us. That's like their badge of honor. Like we beat the Knicks. Like I think it's because it's MSG South down there. I think there are so many Knick fans in their own building that when they beat us, it's kind of like, yeah, we're sticking it to you guys who are in our building, right, or something. Right. I don't know.
Like
you know the worst part with Orlando? It seems like they beat us effortlessly. they don't even try hard, and they're killing us. Meanwhile, we played our hard side, and then we getting pounded.
Yeah, man, it's because we have a toughness issue. Like that's glaring. That was one thing I was going to say about the 20 games too. Like we obviously have a toughness issue. Like good teams that want to beat us, they like the game plan obviously is to be physical with us, and it's really frustrating, especially I don't know, just the way that we play, man. Like.
We got to change that because next thing you know, every team in the league is going to try to play as physical.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You can't change toughness. There's no such thing as changing toughness. You either have it or you don't. It can't be taught. Mike Brown can't give it to him. That's something that's a player thing. That has to be bred in the locker room somehow. That has to be a culture. Like if your team doesn't have it after 20 games, unless there's a trade or something, how the hell you just manufacture toughness? You can't do that. Like you can't.
So do you think then that campaign and Precious Achua were our toughness last year?
I don't know what it is, Geoff. Like it's it's crazy because it really does not make sense. I don't know if it's because like after OG and Nobi got hurt, Shaman obviously shows a little bit of toughness. When they got hurt, it seemed like we got a lot softer. Even though I don't consider like individual players, soft or anything. I'm not a cat is soft type of person. You never see me say anything like that. But
Right.
our team as a whole, we get bullied. Like we was even getting bullied by the Hornets last night a little bit. They came back on us. They was playing physical. Like you could tell that's the game plan against us.
Yeah.
So when we playing somebody in a 7-game series, that's the only reason I care about it, because we're going to have to get through Detroit. We're going to have to get through somebody like Orlando. Like those are going to be tough outs in a 7-game series, man. Like we have to be tough against those teams or we're going to lose. Like all that 3-point shooting and all the talent in the world, we're more talented than folks. Like once it comes in the playoffs and we get closer to the finals, all of that is going to go out the window. Everybody's going to be talented. So I think that's a huge problem going forward, and I don't know how to fix it yet, unless there's a trade. But that was what we were supposed to talk about, if Steph was here, because adding, Freaky Greeky, that changes things a little bit.
Here she comes.
Will one trade fix it though, Jerrell? I mean, that's the problem.
I mean, it could. Unfortunately, it usually doesn't work that way, but it all depends on what the trade is. So, like, what are we giving up, and what are we bringing in? Like the players that we're bringing in. Like Steph, you back?
Yeah, I'm on my phone now. Y'all looking like little chiclets, but at least
Well, that's my best side, Queen. So we good.
I know, right? Maybe it's good that we're a little small, especially me. If you see me a little smaller, Steph, that's a good thing. If you see me in a little box, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
So
somebody have to keep up with the comments because I can't see them. But shout out to everybody in the chat.
Yeah, that's what we should have been doing while you was gone. We didn't even shout out the chat or nothing. That's what.
Yeah, shout out to chat. Shout out to chat.
Because the chat is a show in itself. They've been going off in there, not like usual though. Like usually it'd be combative. They're actually pretty cool in there tonight.
Okay, all right. Well, you guys were talking about the trade.
No, not yet.
No.
We were still. You.
Oh, okay. So you guys went through the whole who you guys wanted to start.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went through that. Can I just piggyback on that? I know you guys
sure.
may have moved on a little bit. Geoff, I was with Jerrell. I was thinking Josh Hart, but you brought up a very good point. So I was thinking Josh Hart because I think he's a bit more dynamic than Miles McBride offensively, in the sense that you're getting the secondary playmaking, you're getting the secondary ball handler. Whenever they do blitz Brunson, if you get it into Mikal Bridges or Josh Hart hand, both of those guys can make something happen. And so it's just really difficult on the offense to stop him, especially if he's going to continue to shoot what he's been shooting over the past, I don't know, 4-5 games. I would think that at some point it's going to regress to the mean, but he does have a new shooting coach. If this is the new Josh Hart, that changes everything for the Knicks. But your point is really valid about Deuce McBride's or Shamit's point of attack defense and what that allows Mikal Bridges to do defensively. And so if you have, McBride taking care of the point of attack, you got Bridges roaming, you have OG doing what he does, when he gets back, that really, really shores up your defense. And sure, you might lose some dynamism, so to speak, in terms of ball handling and secondary playmaking, but what you gain on the defensive end may really even that out. So I was thinking Hart if he continues to shoot this way, but yeah, I do like what Miles McBride allows the other players to do on the defensive end, and you still get the shooting. Even if you don't get the secondary playmaking or ball handling, you do get the you get the shooting. So yeah, I think I would I probably would go with Deuce or Shamit when Shamit is back. Mike Brown seems to really love, love Shamit. Um, but I'm not gonna be like super disappointing if he decides to stay with disappointed if he decides to stay with Hart.
Steph, while you was
Hmm.
gone real quick, we
Hmm.
can get on real quick before we get to Giannis.
Okay.
We was talking about our game against Orlando on Sunday and how they play us and how it's a big game. My question to you is how do you like view our toughness factor this year so far?
Yeah, I was saying this the other day. I was like, I don't know. I think we might need we talking about, do we need a point guard? Do we need a
Right.
wing? Do we need a big? Maybe we just need a bruiser. Like just somebody who's I'm not gonna say a bruiser because I want the player to have talent too,
Right.
right? Like just somebody who just plays physical. You know, we just need that. I don't know if we have that. You
Right.
know, yeah, I do. I don't like our physical factor now. The Knicks stepped up their physicality in the playoffs, so I'm
Mhm.
hopeful. I'm hopeful they'll do that. But we're just not a physical team, and we're not matching other teams' physicality at all.
Right.
We're
I was
not matching it at all. Yeah.
I was telling AJ because that's not something that's just going to come out of nowhere. Like you can't teach that. Like you said, I think it's going to have to be some type of trade, and that's why we was going to lead into the Giannis trade because it's going to have to be somebody else coming into that locker room and telling them about themselves how soft they are. They're not going to tell themselves that they soft.
Right. Right. I mean, we could talk about it in two angles.
Mhm.
The big trade,
Mhm.
Giannis, or small trade around the edges. But let's go with the big trade. I
I was
mean,
about to say when it comes to even when
yeah.
it come even when it
I
comes
go.
to the even when it
Mhm,
comes to the like the smaller trades, you have like targets that you like
mhm.
though because I
Queen.
don't
I
have
do
it.
not. I have targets. I don't think they're available.
Oh yeah, yeah, you're right. Brandon Ingram is not coming here.
Right,
Like
right, right.
it's over. Like,
Right, right. Yeah, I have targets. I just don't think they're available. I'm definitely in the Trey Murphy, Tyree Eason, Herb Jones camp.
right,
None of those players are available. So
right.
it is what it is. The Knicks are gonna have to like turn over stones. you know. But listen, they other than a big trade, and we'll get into to Giannis, the front office might be okay with what they've seen so far. Before we get into Giannis, like, do you feel what you've seen through the first 20 games that this is, yes, a championship a contending team as is? Yes, they need to gel a little more, and hopefully they'll do that over the course of the season. But do you feel like as is, this is a championship contending team, and we don't need um any um any changes, or do you feel the opposite? From what I've seen, we need something. Like, so what are you guys' thoughts on that before we get into trade talk?
Yeah, after the 20 games that I've seen or the 21 games that we have had so far, I think we obviously need, something else. We need more. If you look at other teams in the league, say we do get to the finals, whoever we play
Mhm.
is going to beat us in a 7-game series. That's coming from the
Dang.
West. Unless they get beat up somehow, they beat each other up over there.
Mhm.
Like the first 5 seeds in the West can possibly beat us in a 7-game series. Like they bigger, they're longer, quote unquote tougher. Like the way that OKC is playing, we're not beating them in a 7-game series the
Oh,
way that we're playing now. Like that, it's
Way
not, and
OKC is playing Jerrell.
nobody's going
Everybody's
to beat
playing
them.
for
Like,
second
right.
place. I mean, like they have one loss in like 22 games or
right,
something.
that's what I'm
Come on
saying.
now, man.
So when you say like a championship contender, I was like, that's you got to really grade on a curve. Like you got to think about like a normal year. Like if
Yeah,
this was a
I get
normal year and we had to go up against a normal team,
Mhm.
then we have the talent to win a championship. Yes. But do we have the toughness and the depth to go against somebody like OKC? Absolutely not. Houston, no. There's like the way that Houston is constructed, they're going to beat us in a 7-game series.
Yeah.
What do
there's
you think
multiple
we would
teams.
need? What do you think we wait? What's the position of need? Is it more position? Is it more skill set for
I think
you?
it's a little bit of everything because the teams
Too
that
many,
Dang,
too many
dang.
things to
Wait,
list.
are we that far away? Are we that
From
far away?
OK
We need a little bit of everything.
From
We were-
OKCS.
we was talking
Very
about
far.
getting a point guard, a wing, and a big. Like if we're gonna get all that for Christmas, that's gonna be a hell of a Christmas. Like those
I
are
don't think
3
we could get all
positions.
3.
Those are the only positions, and we need all 3 of them to compete with somebody. A team like that in the 7-game series is going to be really, really tough.
If we
And
can only get one of those positions, which one would you prioritize?
a power forward that is tough.
My
Look
man.
at AJ. Look at
My
AJ.
man.
That can play defense.
That's,
Especially
that's what I'm talking about.
especially a tweener, somebody that can play, a bit of the 3 and the 4, somebody that's long and tough. We need somebody like that. Somebody like that would be perfect for us.
Everybody needs somebody like that, Jerrell.
That's the point, Jeff. That's what I'm saying. Like we're not going to get that. Like this, it's like a pipe dream. The players that I'm talking about don't just grow on trees like that. And if they did grow on trees, they wouldn't be available to us right now anyway. So
I mean, Giannis
that's
could
tough.
play 3-4.
See, I didn't want to bring up Giannis because I think that's an obvious answer. Like, what do we need to win the championship? Giannis. Like, so stuff like that. I didn't want to be too obvious, but if we're just going to talk about like a position or the type or archetype that we need, is somebody like that. I think we could get away with not having another backup point guard. I think it was a setback with Brogdon retiring, or not just retiring, him just being washed. Even if he didn't retire, if he was here, he wouldn't be doing anything anyway. So I think that was a small setback, but I don't think that's we're not winning the championship type of move. We need somebody else. We need somebody bigger and longer that can play defense.
Okay, all right. Ajay and then Jeff. Do you think we're a championship contending team as is? We don't need anything else. We're just going to continue to grow as a team throughout the course of the season, or we do need something else?
Contending means, you could compete for one, right? Yeah, we're a contending team.
But we're not going to win it.
We're not going to win. I mean, like Jerrell pointed out, I mean, the good thing is, thank God, out west they're gonna beat each other like up to, I don't know, hopefully by the time they get to the Eastern Conference they like wobbly, and then maybe we'll have a chance, or whoever comes out of the East will have a chance. But otherwise, I mean, the top teams in the West are like much better than at least than us. I don't know what Detroit's playing well and very physical. And Queen, to make matters worse with us, going back to what we were talking about just a little while ago, we don't have physicality. So you know what I'm saying? So when you're playing those teams that are more talented, more athletic than you, sometimes you could make up some ground with physicality. We don't even have that to counter them. So we're at a disadvantage at so many points that I don't think we'll have a lot of a huge chance of winning, playing against those teams in the West, if we do make it out of the East. So,
yeah, okay, fair, Jeff.
I think it's really difficult to judge what we can be or who we can be because we haven't been whole for almost the whole season, right? I mean, OG Anunoby's been out for what, a month, or 3 weeks, something like that, with his hamstring, and he's just getting back. I mean, and so, it's hard for me to say what we can become. If we are what we are right now, I don't think we're, I don't know that we would make the Eastern Conference Finals with what we've been playing right now, but that's not the team, hopefully, that we're going to have. I mean, I worry about how Shamit's shoulder affects his shooting, because he certainly took a long time the last time he got hurt to have that turnaround. But Anunoby makes a massive difference on this squad too. So I think that with him in the lineup, it's a lot different, and I think having an offense like we're capable of playing, it creates issues for other teams as well. And are we going to be healthy? That's a big question, but you need to have that if you're going to make a legitimate championship run. And I'm certainly not giving up on them by any stretch of the imagination. I think we've got a long way to go with healthy or not. Like we still, 20 games in, you're just a third of the, a quarter of the way into the season. So, but we're winning 2/3 of our games. We've had obstacles to overcome. And so, we'll go from there. I do think that the roster as it is now is not going to be the one that we see come playoff time. I think they will tinker with it a little bit in one way or another, and maybe not in ways that fans like, because it may involve some guys that we get in our feelings about. But it's really hard to tell after, we're kind of where around the area we should be. If you want to argue that we should be a couple games better in first place, okay, but the Pistons got off to a really hot start, and they're only 3 games ahead of us. So, just weather the storm, stay the course, and, see what happens. But, you get a top 2 or 3 seed in the East, that to me means you have the potential, you can contend. What you do from there, what you make of that opportunity is what makes the difference. Like the last couple of years, we've at least won a couple rounds of the playoffs, and so that's what we're gonna have to do again, right?
I think there's record and there's process, right? And you can have a great record just based on teams that you play. You know what I mean? But when you think about a championship contending team, I look at ball handling. I look at shooting. I look at, do we have guys who could take, who could put the ball on the floor and get in the lane? And I'm not saying we don't have these things. I think we do. But like that's what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about basketball IQ and process. I'm thinking about the coach and the lineups and the lineup versatility. Like these are all the things I think about when I'm thinking about winning the championship. I'm not, obviously the record matters because you want to get the highest seed you can. When I look at this team against really good teams where there's some resistance, on the defensive end, whether they're physical or not, like there's resistance. They're not going to allow you to just fly through the lane for backdoor cuts and layups. They're not going to, they're going to contest your shot. They're not going to allow you to easily get into the lane. They have somebody who can guard Karl Anthony Towns. You can't, that's how you really judge this team. And whenever we've played teams like that, the offense has struggled some, right? Now,
0-12 against the top teams last year, though, and we made it all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals. So, and was there? What was
I understand. If I could finish, Geoff, I get it. I get it. We did do that. Last year. So I'm not saying that because we don't do it, we can't make it to the Eastern Conference Final. But I'm just saying this team, in my opinion, has process issues when we're playing the good teams. That's the point I'm trying to make. I don't think it's a talent issue. Can we use a wing? Can we use another big? I think we do need another big. Can we use, another point guard? Fine. If not, maybe we can get away with McBride, Shamet, and Clarkson in the playoffs. But our process when teams take away our first and second option is Brunson ball. Like we just haven't figured out what is the team. Okay, they're taking away A, they're taking away B. What's available for us that we can take? Like when you think about how talented this team is with Brunson who can get in the lane, Bridges who can get in the lane, a big who's as talented as he is, OG whose offense has taken another level. The lineups you can put out there offensively, that's 5 out. You have the spacing. It just boggles the mind that we get bogged down by teams that take away one or two options, we don't really know what's available other than Brunson ball. And so to me, I feel like that's where there's more meat on the bone, even if we don't upgrade the roster. Like our process, like what's available. Why are we going back to now, again, Brunson ball? I feel like we got the coach who could put those lineups in. We got the rotation, lineup versatility, defensive, offensive, mix of both. Are the players smart enough? Is their processing speed quick enough together collectively to take advantage of what to recognize what the team has given us, the opposing team has given us, and to take advantage of that? I'm not seeing that with this team. That's why I look forward to when we play Miami. I look forward to when we play Orlando. I look forward to these teams because they're not going to give you everything you want. These teams, the Nets, Charlotte, they don't put up any resistance. You can get whatever you want, but these other teams do. And like, that's to me a sign of a good playoff team. And maybe that's something we're working our way into. But we talk about offense, fine. We talk about defense, fine. I think we have to start putting process on the table as something that we are looking at as we go further into the season, because it's I don't really see it. Recognition. When do we go to Cat? Who has the advantage? Like those things against tough teams, I still think we struggle in that.
That's fair.
In that regard.
I know a lot of people don't want to say it. I think that's a Brunson issue
as well,
because we had that problem. It's not a coaching issue because we've always had that problem. So even the way that we used to use Cat last year, I remember us used to saying that, we should go to him at this time, or we should go to Bridges at this time where he has a mismatch, and they never did it. For Brunson to be the captain and the point guard for this team, that's his fault. You got to be better at that, because that's all decision making by the players. Well, I guess Mike Brown too, but this is not a Mike Brown thing because it happened against Tibbs too. I think that's a Brunson thing.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I do wonder if the coaching staff can pull his coach. Sometimes during the game or even during the game planning, like, listen, this is really. Sometimes this is the advantage we have coming into the game, but to your point, sometimes the advantage as the game goes on. In the moment, you have to be able to figure it out. I don't think process is one of Brunson's strong points. I don't think he's like a bum as far as processing is concerned, but I don't think that it's like an elite skill of his in terms of what do we need right now, what's the advantage right now, who's been the hot hand for us. I don't see that with Brunson. And we've talked about this for 2 seasons now, or at least 1 season, that's the next evolution of his game, in my opinion. What do we need right now? Keeping the micro in focus. Yes, there's the macro. Did I say micro? Macro. Keeping the macro in focus, in addition to what he's doing offensively. I just don't think that's there yet at a high enough level. I'm not going to say it's not there at all. At a high enough level. There's been times when a player's been hot and Brunson will come and take the next 2 shots like he was hot.
Right.
Boston in
the fourth quarter, but we've seen it other. There was times last year he would be on the bench, somebody would be cooking, he comes right back in. Were you watching the game when you were sitting down? Did you see what was going on? So but I would never say that he's a ball hog. I do think his heart is in the right place. I do think he's trying to win. But I need another level of processing the game from from Jalen Brunson.
Now, see, look at there. Now, David Smith can't say that we don't never say anything negative about Jalen Brunson.
Right, exactly. I can't see the chat. I don't even know if David Smith is in the chat
No,
tonight.
I'm just, yeah, he is like so. David Smith and everybody else too. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
saying he always say that we don't say. Well, he's not the only one who say that either. Brunson doesn't get that much criticism.
Yeah.
It's probably because he's our best player. He usually doesn't do stuff to, get criticized. So,
Right.
but yeah,
Right.
when it comes to his floor game, though, we've been criticizing his floor game for the past 2 seasons, though.
Yeah, for sure. And that leads us into the Giannis talks and whether Brunson should be on the table.
Nah,
I'm just saying.
we might as well get this out of the way. Ain't nobody gonna say yes to that.
I know, but this is what I will say, and I'll get my take out real quick.
Mm.
I'm not in favor of the Giannis trade because I never thought Giannis and Brunson was a good fit together. I know some people think they're a good fit defensively, but to me, both of these guys excel with the ball in their hand. And if you look at what they're doing in Milwaukee, there's a certain construction of the team that you have to have around Giannis, right? He's not somebody you could play off the ball and hit him and he gonna hit a three. He's not somebody that's going to get in the lane and pull up for a mid range, though he's been doing that more more often. He's somebody who's at his best when the ball is in his hands. And look at what happened with Dame. I don't think that worked out as well because the ball just wasn't in Giannis' hands enough. Now, Brunson can play off ball, but is that what it's going to be? Giannis is basically going to be the point forward on the team, and Brunson's role is going to pretty much be off ball until Giannis goes to the bench. You don't see a lot. If when you look at Giannis with the pick and roll, he the one leading the pick and rolls. You know what I mean? So I don't really see this fit. I think both of them are too ball dominant. I don't really see the fit. Now, this is not something I would do, but it would definitely be a better fit if I hate to even say this because this is not something I would do. Don't get me wrong. I'm just talking in terms of fit.
Okay.
Having Brunson in the trade, I wouldn't do this. And now you have Giannis handling the ball, and now you have Cat, who's a stretch 5 playing with him, and then you have shooters, around him. To me, that is a better fit than Brunson and Cat and Giannis. I just don't see the fit. And just because two guys are talented doesn't mean it's gonna work. So that's just me. And you're gonna have to give up at least one of OG or Bridges. Like one of them are gonna have to go. In that trade. So that is not. I don't think it's a good fit. Though Giannis would be the best player on the team if we traded for him, and it wouldn't even be close. In my opinion. But yeah, I'm interested in you guys' thoughts.
Ain't nobody trying to go after that, Steph.
We just popped the balloon, didn't we? You just said,
said all that,
the toddler and then just popped it.
She said all that and said, yeah, y'all go ahead.
No,
never mind. She ain't leave no meat on the bone. She ain't left the bone. Like the bone disappeared.
Well, but because I assumed that I would be the only one against the trade, so I just wanted to get that out of the way while you guys then talk about why it would be really good for the Knicks.
Well, after you said, I guess because even though I do like the trade because I like Giannis, but the point that you made, the point that you made sense. Like it's not like I disagree with what you said, so I'm kind of, obviously would be on the fence with that. Like if we did get Giannis, I would not be upset. Obviously, we got Giannis, but like you said, when it comes to a fit standpoint, I do not. They're definitely not going to trade Jalen Brunson. So it's going to have to be Jalen Brunson and Giannis to actually work it out like that. And that's what comes with that is going to be another, another period or another what you call it, like another experiment. Like how long is this going to take for them to gel, or if they're going to gel at all? If he does get traded here, do not expect a championship this year. It wouldn't make sense to think that, because they will have to gel. Like Steph said, it might not even work out because they're two ball dominant players. So yeah,
Or maybe
Steph,
Mac Brown could work magic. Maybe, Mike Brown could, sit him down and say, you're gonna have to play a little different than you used to play. Here, I'm pretty sure he would be open to that.
The same way it didn't work out with Dame, it wouldn't work out over here. Could Dame like to have the ball in his hands just the same way?
So you against the trade too, Adrian?
I'm not. Listen. If Giannis come here, we be happy, right?
Right.
But I'm not
No
gonna
doubt.
push. I'm not. It's not. I'm not gonna, stay up at night trying to figure out how to make this trade happen, kind of thing. If I'm the front office, if Milwaukee said, "Listen, man, take him off our hands," okay.
Well, they ain't gonna say that.
I'm just saying.
I think they did say that this summer, and the Knicks didn't like the price.
Yeah, it was the price, but now that everything is real now, and I kind of think that the Knicks probably didn't think it was real. I thought they probably thought that not real, because you got to take the call, but how realistic it was. And they probably did one offer and that was it. They didn't go for like a back and forth or no negotiation or anything like that. For this trade to work, it will obviously have to be a third team involved, because Milwaukee is going to want picks. They're not going to just want Jalen Brunson. Even if it was just him, they will want picks. It makes no sense for them to just trade Giannis for Jalen Brunson and Mikal Bridges, and that's it. Like, a third team will have to be involved with multiple draft picks that's going there as well. So I think this trade is going to be complicated if it does happen, and I don't think they would have did that with the I don't know, just the rumors that they had going around this past summer. But I could be completely wrong, though. They could have had a whole bullet point presentation with multiple teams involved, and they could have still, they still could have rejected it. But I don't know. I just don't want them to just hit the snooze button just like they did with Donovan Mitchell and think that it's not realistic and somebody else swoop in and get them when they could have got them.
Yeah,
if you want them, go get them.
Yeah, because listen, this is just my opinion. I know AD gonna hit me up right after, right after the show. Are you out of your mind? You trade for Giannis and you figure it out.
Right.
Figure it out.
That's my understanding.
Yeah, I'm not against that. Jeff, just your
a couple things. First of all, we can't trade Mikal Bridges. Like, he has a de facto no trade clause. So if you're worried about Bridges going in the deal, don't. He's not tradable until the offseason. And so there's nothing in season where Bridges would be going anywhere because he can't. So that's point number one. Second, I would say I'm kind of in Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego trade with this one. And I know that may sound weird to some of y'all, but so in the Holy Bible, there's a story in Daniel and in the book of Daniel about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the fiery furnace. And the whole point that I'm going to make here is that they said that you can throw us in the fiery furnace, and our God is mighty enough to rescue us, whether and rescue us from the furnace. And they said, but even if he doesn't, I'm still not going to bow down and worship you. So my point is that if I don't think a Giannis trade is happening, I don't think the Knicks have the right parts to get a deal done, unless the Bucks are just taking pennies on the dollar. I haven't seen any trade that makes a lot of sense for them. And I've seen a few. I think so. I think that there are places like the Lakers and the Spurs and the Thunder who have more that they can offer than the Knicks. And unless Giannis basically says, I only want to go to New York, and I don't know why he would say that, I don't see it happening. But my point of bringing up the whole Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego thing is, if we acquire Giannis, we're ready to go for a championship run. If we don't acquire Giannis, we're ready to go for a championship run. And the reason that I say that is because I understand your questions about fit, but Brunson played with Luka already. We know that he can play off the ball. Would it take some adjustment on his part? Yes, I think that it would. But he's a player who just wants to win. And Giannis brings something to this team that they currently don't have, a most valuable player. And as much as we love Brunson, and I do, and as much as I love Cat, and Cat's been phenomenal for us, but these guys are not guys who have won the MVP. Giannis continues to play at an MVP level. He's a two-way player. Yes, he's not an efficient shooter, and that would be a problem. We would probably need a stretch five. Who knows? Maybe they figure out a way to do the deal and keep Cat, which would be a fascinating pairing if you ask me. But again, I don't take this stuff really seriously, because I think there are teams with more to offer the Bucks than we do. But if the opportunity comes available, I fail to see how you can not pull the trigger, just because he's one of the 5 best players on the planet and probably one of the 25 best players of all time. Like, if you have a chance to bring that player in to your system, yeah, there are some things that you can figure out later. Is it going to be clunky? Perhaps. I mean, we talk about, well, it didn't work with Damian Lillard. Well, they didn't have as good a roster as we have with Damian Lillard, and Lillard got hurt, and so did Giannis. So we never really got to see that combination fully actualized to see that if it could work in the playoffs. So I'm not sure that that's a 100% fair criticism, although I'm certainly open to it. I think that you can say that Brunson doesn't seem like the guy who loves to run a lot of pick and roll with Towns. So I don't think that just because Giannis gets here that he would suddenly be on the pick and roll train. That doesn't seem like an argument that definitely flies for me. But and obviously, you need great backcourt players to win a championship. So you can't obviously. I mean, Brunson is far and away our best backcourt player. If you traded him, and I know we're not advocating for that, but if you trade him away, what difference is that to what the Bucks have now? Like, you would be running into a team that was front court dependent, and so I'm not sure. I don't think it's going to happen. So I'm not really, I would be stunned if it came to be. When someone like Lee reports on this stuff, you kind of have to give it some attention, but I don't think it will happen. But if it did happen, I think that the Knicks could make it work, and I think they would figure it out, and I think that would create some problems, yes, but it creates issues for other teams as well, because talk about Brunson as a spot up shooter. How much gravity does Giannis have? I think Giannis has more gravity than Cat does, and Cat has plenty of it, right? And so, I think that you could see, him attacking the paint, dishing it out, and Brunson getting wide open looks from three, and Bridges too. If he's still he's still going to be here. I don't know if Deuce would still be here, or Clarkson, or whoever. Like, I don't know. You'd have to see what the entire package is. But Giannis is one of one. I mean, he's just a special, unique player who's won a championship. He's tough. He's a great defender. So I think that he's a game changer. And would there be some growing pains? Yes, but are there growing pains now? Yes. So Yeah.
I hear you. I think if your argument is just bring him in, he's the best player, and let's see what happens, I think that's fine. I would just say it's not automatic that just because somebody is the best player that it's gonna work. And I don't see Brunson being relegated to just an off the ball player. And when he played with Luca, his ego wasn't what it is now. I'm not gonna say his ego, his game. Like I don't see Brunson just saying I'm gonna turn into Deuce McBride with because Giannis is here and I'm just gonna play off the ball and this guy is gonna handle the ball most of the time and I'm just gonna stay in the corner or somewhere and just wait for a shot. You know, I don't know. Maybe it would work. Um, I just would not be I just would not be in favor of it. I would like somebody who could shoot the ball, and would be a better fit in my opinion with with Brunson. But I'm not going to argue with he's a great player, one of the greatest players that ever played this game, and you bring it in and you roll the dice and you see what happens.
What Jeff said about Dame being over there and they didn't have a better roster. Remember, their coach got fired too. I would like to know what happened with that.
Yeah.
Remember, their coach they were actually
they were fired. You're right.
They were actually playing okay. Then Doc Rivers came over and messed everything up. So I want to know why he got fired. What was the story behind that in terms of fit and the roster and stuff like that? Because Jeff is right. Like, their roster is not as good as ours.
Well, it wouldn't be as good either, right? Because we're gonna lose some of these pieces.
Yeah, true. But I'm just talking about, like, if you compare like Giannis and Dame with everybody else that they have compared to Brunson and Cat and everybody else that we have. Like, say if you just substituted Cat with Giannis, we are way better than the Bucks.
But it would be more than that, though.
No, I'm just saying if you did, though. Like, I do agree with you.
I mean, of course, if it's just a one-to-one swap and we're able to keep everybody else,
right?
I mean, but that's just not going to be that's just not going to be the that's just not going to be the case.
So if you're talking about a Cat-centric deal, their salaries are pretty similar. So it can't, unless you're talking about other players coming back to us as well.
Yes, that's the scenarios that I've been seeing. That
and some of those players and some of those deals have been pretty good. Like Lee Escobedo had a 3-team trade with the Knicks and the Bucks and Phoenix, and I think it brought back to, maybe it was even a 4-team trade because I think we have ended up with like Dylan Brooks and Grayson Allen as well as Giannis. I don't remember all the details of the deal, but I'm just saying. So you're either going to have my point being not the specific players, but you're either going to have a broader deal where you're going to be bringing in other players, presumably talented players as well, or if you're not including Towns, that means it's OG centric, and you're probably going to lose a lot of those depth pieces. But then you have Towns and Giannis together in the front court, and I think that could be amazing.
If we're talking about that, I would be more open to like Towns and
because you would have Bridges and Brunson also, and so that's a dynamic team too. Like, how do you stop that squad?
Yeah, but fans are going crazy with the trade machine. You said a 4-team trade, Jeff?
Yeah, and I'm not a big Dylan Brooks fan at all.
I know it involved Phoenix, and I know it involved the Knicks, and it was the Bucks. There might have been another team, but it's going to probably have to be a 3-team deal because I don't think that the Bucks want all of our pieces. I don't think that they want to be in the Karl Anthony Towns business. I'm not saying that as a slight to Cat. I think Cat's a terrific player. I just don't think he's the something that's interesting to them. So if he's involved, you're probably talking about sending him to a third location. He and Devin Booker are best friends, I think. So Phoenix kind of made a little bit of sense and gives them a star player to go with Booker and help them along and solidify their 5 spot. And so. And there are other players. I mean, you can go wild with it. You could talk about Memphis and Yad. You could, there are lots of, if you're opening up a third team that you can do a lot of, crazy stuff.
Right.
But it's more imagination than it is at anything at this point. This is not what I expect to happen, but if we're going to talk about it, you might as well, explore the possibility of it a little bit as what, I'm entertaining it, but I think so.
I wouldn't be shocked though. I don't think this is like a 15% chance.
Well, right? I think Giannis will get moved. I just don't think it's going to be here.
I mean, even for the Knicks, I don't think it's like a 15% chance. I don't think it's like a 15%.
What's everybody's percentage to the Knicks? Not period. I think it's 100% period, but to the Knicks, like, what's your percentage?
That's a great question.
I think I'm gonna go 65.
Wow.
I think I'm gonna stick with 65 because there's
so you say it's more likely than not that he's becoming a Knick,
because there's been reports saying that that's what he wants, and usually players get what they want, regardless of how long it might take. Regardless of how long it might take, it might not even be this season. It might be an off season.
65% chance.
But players usually, especially players at his stature, usually get what they want. If he wants the Knicks, he's coming here. I don't know.
That has been the reports, not just the summer for the summer. That has been the reports recently.
Right. So if he wants to be here, he is going to be here. Like, that's how it usually works. But we'll see.
I'll say 55%. I think the Knicks front office is playing coy, right? There's been, reports that the Knicks are not pursuing Giannis. Yeah, you definitely, there's a way you have to play this. You know what I mean? But you can't tell me that the Knicks aren't interested and that the Knicks wouldn't pick up the phone to talk if Milwaukee call, or you can't even tell me that the Knicks probably on the DL won't pick up the phone just to see what the parameters would be. And they even have a head start because they had talks with Milwaukee this summer. So they have a sense of what Milwaukee would want. But I would say 50-55.
And plus, real quick, Geoff, you would definitely know this more than me. What's his contract look like, and when is his extension up?
Well, he's got 1 year after this one.
Yep.
Oh yeah, he's going where he wants to go. Then
that's a big factor. They talked about that as well.
He's going where he wants to go.
But here's the thing: he's going where he wants to go. But if he has a chance to play with Luka and the Lakers, you think he's going to turn that down? Like, he's going to be like, nah, only New York, or if he gets to join the defending champion Oklahoma City Thunder and play with SGA, he's going to be like, yeah, I'm out. If he gets to play with Wemby in San Antonio, is he going to be like, nah, I don't want to do that? Like,
he might want to stay on the East Coast, Jeff. I mean, we don't know he might see that the Knicks are close, and he's somebody that could put the Knicks, over the top. Like, we don't know, all the factors that go into a player's decision in terms of where they want to go. It's not always the team with the best players, right?
But he wants to win championships, though, too. I mean, so that's.
But you don't think the Knicks are a championship contending team?
I do, but are we more attractive? I mean, market-wise, we're more attractive than Oklahoma City. But I mean, if he wants to win the title, maybe he Kevin Durant's it and says, "Okay, if I can't beat him, I'm joining him." And
but maybe he don't want to go with dust balls are at like the OK Corral. Like, maybe maybe location. What are those things in the westerns that be rolling?
Dust ball.
I'm just playing. I heard OKC is a very good city. I'm just playing. But like maybe
tables.
Maybe location matters. We don't know what goes into these. To these decisions.
Queen said that 15%. So I'm going to go to 18%. That's as high as I'm willing to go. I'm not going any higher than that.
That extra 3% could get us Giannis. You never know.
You never know. It's three more chances out of 100, right?
Yeah, you never know. I know his family. Like, he moved his family out of the country. Like, his family lived back in Greece, that might have a factor of it. Like when it comes to travel, New York is
I
obviously
did hear
big
that.
bad.
I did hear that one time in terms of the airport and the travel back and forth.
I think it's pro.
So do we have to sign all the other Antetokounmpos too? Do we need Thanasis
Yes.
and Cosmo and
They're coming too.
Uncle Jim and Aunt Terry and
They're coming too. They're definitely coming too. And the Knicks is a family business anyway. Like they're definitely going to bring his brothers over here.
I just think, what do y'all think? But seriously though, for just a second, I mean, if the Lakers are willing to part with Austin Reeves and maybe Rui Hachimura,
who are those? Who are those? Like who?
Austin Reeves is playing an all-star.
Austin Reeves is good.
He not Cat.
That is true.
He's not Cat.
No.
Hoochie Mama and all of these, like, nah, no.
I don't know that the Knicks are looking to get rid of Cat in a Giannis trade either, though. I'm not sure that Cat is the centerpiece of a Giannis trade if the Knicks are involved. I think that OG is probably the guy who's the centerpiece along with some ancillary parts.
I'm okay with that because
they just signed Miles Turner. They're not going to want Cat, I don't think.
Right. Or he would go to another team. But this is my question. Do you think, like, Giannis is a good defensive player too, but he does so much on the offensive end. Like, I mean, theoretically, you could be like, oh, he just takes the place of OG. He just becomes, that defensive player. But that's a lot to ask, for the usage that he'll have to also be what OG was on defense.
I mean, he's an all defensive player in Milwaukee. And that's not something OG's ever been. I mean, we love OG's defense, but Giannis is an outstanding defensive player. I mean, I think that kind of gets lost in the sauce sometimes because he can't, he can't shoot, but he's a fantastic defensive player. And I don't, so is it a lot to ask? Maybe, but is it something that he's done throughout his career? Yes, I think.
But Geoff, it's different. Like, OG doesn't have that offensive responsibility. So every night you just put him on the best offensive player on the other team. Is that what you're going to do with Giannis? You're going to put him on the best offensive player on the other team game in and game out and ask him to be what we need him to be on the offensive end? I think that's a lot.
He do that already though, Steph.
He plays the best player game in and game out all throughout the game. Wow.
Most of the time, yeah. Like Giannis is different. Like he does do that. But
so he plays Tatum, for example, the entire night and does what he does on the offense.
He can. End. I've seen him do that, yeah. Only thing with that,
I've seen him do it. I'm talking about game in and game out. Like every night he's taking the best offensive player on the other team.
Well, every night he wouldn't have to play Tatum. Like you got to think about the league, especially in the East, who he going against. But I
can give Bridges that responsibility some too if it's a smaller guy, right?
If it's a smaller guy,
because Bridges is going to be here one way or the other. So it's not like Giannis is the only positive defender that we have. And depending on how the deal is constructed, if it's a cat-centric trade instead of an OG one, you may have Giannis, OG,
and
Bridges and Deuce or a name or Hart. And then when you just have one weakness on defense with Brunson, which is a lot easier to hide, and you could have probably a top 5 defense in the league, which would totally change the complexion of this team, and maybe the offense would struggle, but maybe
I was about to say you're going to need a top 5 defense with that team.
Yeah.
You're going to need a top 5 defense.
Yeah, that I have that in my head. Yeah, right. Yeah.
I think it would be, is my point. He changes. In other words, that configuration changes the makeup of our team, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we can't. There's more than one way to win a championship, right?
Yeah,
So right now we're offensive centric, but that doesn't mean we couldn't shift to more of a defensive minded team and be very successful, especially with those kind of players who are long and athletic and play off of each other. Imagine OG and him together in the same front court. How are you ever getting past that?
Yeah, that's different. Like we
Listen.
had both of them, that'd be nuts.
In the playoffs in today's NBA, you got to be able to space the floor, and you got to be able to make shots. And it wouldn't be bad. If OG can space, Bridges can space, Brunson can space, whoever. I mean, that's the thing. If you bring Giannis in, you got to have spacers around him. You have to have spacers around him.
Kind of makes Josh Hart problematic, though.
And Mitchell Robinson.
And Mitchell Robinson, yes.
Yeah.
You might have to think about moving those two, also.
Yeah, unless Hart stays on this 40% bender that he's on, it's just
From your
not
lips to
gonna.
God's ears, Queen.
Right.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah. So I just think bringing Giannis in, it does change the complexion of the team. I like a Giannis cat more so than I like a Giannis Brunson. I like Giannis cat Brunson more than I like a Giannis Brunson
OG.
Oh, well, OG, yeah. Okay. But yeah. I mean, we will see if the Knicks make a big trade or even a small one, or if they are pretty satisfied with what they, with what they see.
One other thing I wanted to mention: December 15th is a big date because that's when a lot of these contracts become available for trade, like a Torian Prince, for example. And he's not the only one. He was the one first guy that came to mind. But there are a lot of guys league wide who will suddenly become available for trade that, as of December the 4th, are not. And so that's kind of a, if you're looking for it, and Giannis has got a 2 to 4 week injury, so probably if you're looking at it, probably won't happen.
That's his negotiation window. He ain't nothing wrong with him. That's his. That's his negotiation.
But again, so that I agree with you, and so that lends credence, in my opinion, to if you're looking for a target date, if such a thing exists, in or around December 15th. From that point till New Year's would probably be the window if it's going to happen before the trade deadline, I would guess.
Would a player on the level, say we don't go Giannis and we just go small fish, would a player along the level of a Torian Prince, like, would that be okay for the Knicks, or do you feel like they would need to go bigger than that, like a Tari Eason or something? Not that we can get him, but that
Bobby
level
Portis would be an interesting look.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he definitely goes into the limited defense. I mean, he's okay. He's okay defensively, but
Torian Prince?
Bobby
No, we're
Portis.
talking
Bobby Portis. Oh.
He not rough and tough for Ajay. Ajay want Oakley.
He's a little tough.
Okay.
At least with the eye, at least with the eyes, with the face,
you don't want to cross him because you don't want that stare.
Just the look alone is like, this guy got to be tough.
Yeah, he almost got in a fight with Beef Stew the other day. Yeah, Bobby tough.
And he can shoot the three. I mean, you're talking about, he's really, in my opinion, what we want Yabusele to be, right?
Pretty much.
So, yeah. I mean, and I think that's an upgrade. And Bobby's not that old. He's been in the league a long time, but I think he's only like 31 or 32 years old, which isn't that old for a big man.
True.
He's been in the league for about 10 years, I think.
How old is Giannis?
31, somewhere around there.
About the same age.
Yeah.
I was thinking about him. Injuries has been piling up these past few years also.
That's a great point too.
So, but to be honest, don't get me wrong, this is a big trade, but this is not a long-term thing.
You don't think he'd be here for at least 3 years?
Yeah, but I'm just talking about our championship window. Like when it comes to 3 years, that's not that long. That's still short-term for me. For somebody that big, like you want them to be on your team for a very long time, and I don't think that's the case this time.
Gotcha.
We trying to win a championship now, so if we win, it don't matter how hurt he is. Like after that, like he can be, he can do whatever he wants.
Get that ring. We don't care after that.
Yeah, go home, go to Greece. We'll still pay you.
No, we owe picks to the Nets. We can't just have them go to Greece. We gotta
Oh boy, can you imagine? We got picks. We owe them picks to 2054. So can you imagine?
His kids might be in the league by the time we done paying that off.
Jerrell, I didn't see that near fight between Bobby Portis and Beef Stew. Somebody on the shout out to Big Chino said, "Yo, Beef Stew ain't want none of that."
I don't know, man. Don't get me wrong. It's not like Bobby back. Neither one of them back down. But you know, they want to go fight. It's an NBA game. But I think if they were in the street, they would have fought.
Yeah.
But there wasn't nobody gonna fight in the middle of no game like that. No.
Yeah, I mean, I miss those days, man.
He's like
Chris. I mean, come on, man. Throw him up. Once in a blue moon, man. Come on, man.
Yeah, man, no more fighting in the NBA,
on,
man. This ain't hockey.
Opposing player get under your skin, man. You just.
This ain't the same, man. They don't even fight in hockey like that no more, man. They fight, but it's not like it was before.
In hockey, they throw down the gears, they put everything down.
They throw the gloves off. Like I gotta hit you with my bare knuckles. Like hockey players are nuts.
What makes sense to me is in the NFL when they're punching people's helmets. I'm like, wait, you're gonna break your hands.
You're in your head.
Because that's how hard the Neanderthals think they can punch, though, Jeff. They think they can hit you through a helmet. Like that's how dumb they are. But that's crazy.
Anyway, yeah. And can somebody just shout out the chat? I can't really see it.
Ajay, you want to hit the chat up?
Man, first of all, I think Jerrell mentioned earlier that the chat was good. There was not a lot of fighting, and I don't know. I think maybe size 9 wasn't here from at the top of the show. Size
a couple
9 came in.
Troublemakers popped up. That's all.
And shout out to them. Shout out to size 9, David Smith.
What are they going back and forth about?
No,
Cat?
I don't know.
We're talking David Smith is Cat.
Yeah,
well,
definitely.
And a lot of shadow boxing, Queen. Like you know how they do. But shout out to the chat, man. Shout out to David Smith. East Blue Drew was there from the jump. Of course, size 9. Dwayne Dennis was here. I don't know if he still is. East Blue. Well, I said East Blue Drew already.
Mm-hmm. JJ was here. Always.
I think JJ's still here. Lady and the Chef was here, Queen.
Yes, I saw that.
Sure, yeah, Sherwin, of course. Usually, Sherwin. Shout out to Sherwin for being here. Wiz was here earlier. I don't know if he still is. Right.
We didn't say anything bad about Deuce, so he should still be in the house.
He still be in the house, right? He's like,
he ain't gonna pop up unless Jeff say something negative about Deuce. Probably.
He's a silent listener. Yeah, man. And shout out to everybody, man. Queen, they've been here from the top of the show and holding it down.
Yeah.
David G was here, I think, earlier.
Yeah, Dwayne Dennis, East Blue Drew, I think he said them already, but they've been rocking.
I think Jay Rax was here earlier.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Hey, Pap, there's a couple of guys that were here. I don't know if they still here, but yeah, man.
East Blue Drew just trying to avoid that fine, Queen.
Yeah.
So you don't want to get put in the penalty box again.
I'm looking now at the chat on my computer behind the TV, and Dwayne Dennis said, "If we trade Cat for Giannis, does that mean David Smith goes to the Bucks too?"
Salute to Wiz, man. He tried to take Jeff's spot because he keep talking crap about Deuce, man.
Hey, Delusional been in the house, and
Delusional in the house.
Yeah, salute to Delusional, man.
Yeah.
Thanks to the chat, man. And don't forget to hit the like button. I think, guys, it should be automatic now when you guys come on. To hit the like button.
Yeah, for sure.
Ajay, did you hit the like button, Ajay?
Yes, sir. I did. Today I did. The past couple of shows I forgot, but today, first thing I did today.
I'm just doing it now. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's only 40. Like I got YouTube up. Just got 41. Come on. I
was the 41st step, so I can't even say nothing. I mean, I'm not gonna lie.
How many people watching on X though? We have a lot
Yeah,
of
that's true.
viewers on
That's
X.
true.
Well,
I don't know if they
YouTube,
can like it
76
on
people,
X the same way.
76 people on YouTube. So
Hit the like button on the way out.
Yeah. Appreciate you, Wiz. Sherman says David Smith and Steph are the biggest cat. I don't know about biggest. You know, cat frustrates me at times. I spoke about that earlier in the show. But I definitely respect him, and I respect his game. There's certain things that I would like to see him be a bit more consistent with, but you know, yeah, I
Wiz,
like him. Hmm.
Wiz, you got to call in sometime. I know it's like 2 p.m. where you at, but
No, he's
Yeah,
he's
on the
3
West.
hours ahead. He on the
I,
West
I,
Coast.
I know.
Yeah.
No, he's 3 hours behind.
Behind, yeah.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I know he's only 3 hours. I'm just
It's not just getting started. It's like 8:30. He's like, he's ready to go.
that's
Yeah.
the thing. His day he wakes up. His days, the West Coast 3 hours behind, but Wiz's day is like another 4 hours behind.
They gonna take that like away, AJ. You just might as well just say deuce. It needs to be flushed down the toilet if you're gonna say that, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Salute to everybody, man.
Salute to everybody. Replay gang. I appreciate. I'm looking forward to these comments on Cat. I mean, to the honest trade. I mean, tomorrow. So what? Today is Thursday. The Knicks play Utah tomorrow. Jeff and I will be on Saturday, 10 o'clock. Maybe Ajay will join us
Maybe.
for the recap and and reaction show. And then we play Sunday. We play Orlando again for like the 15th time in 25 games. We play Orlando. Is that a home game?
I just looked at it too. Hold on 1 second.
I think it is.
I don't know. Yes, it's a home game.
Okay.
Well, we need to take care of business against Utah. They play Brooklyn tonight, so they should be. We should have a definite advantage in that game. I want to see us get off to a hot start and step on their necks this time.
And we play home. We play home tomorrow too, so we got 2 home games.
The Knicks
Not
have
a
been
must
home
win.
a lot.
Not a must win.
You know what that means, Steph.
Want to win.
I mean, we're going to be away a lot in the second
Yeah,
half.
yeah, because we've been home a lot. Yeah, you're
Jerrell,
right.
You watching the Cowboys get crushed?
Yep.
You happy?
Yep.
Love it.
No defense at all played in that game on either side.
All right. Any last words?
Steph, if you really want comments and stuff like that, clip up what you said about the Giannis trade and put it out as a standalone. You'll see how many people.
DopeSoulSports right there.
Clip up what you said about that Giannis trade. I'm pretty sure
DopeSoulSports.
Yeah,
somebody's going to comment about that.
Yeah, for
It
sure.
might go viral. She might be on Next Take or something on ESPN for that guy.
Like Giannis, he don't fit over here. I don't want him.
Yeah, I'm just not sold. I'm not sold. If we move Cat on I'm just not sold on the fit between him and Brunson and whatever we have left.
Yeah.
But I stand alone mostly, and that's fine. Any other?
Nah, I'm cool.
Thanks,
It's almost
fellas.
midnight. I gotta roll.
Jerrell and Ajay.
Really, it is 11:37. Wow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's been a long one. We 2.5 hours, and Queen
Steph-
only gonna be here for an hour and 45 minutes because of the
Yeah.
internet.
Right.
Right.
Like Steph was in the Matrix for like a third of it. That's why she refreshed. She cool.
And shout out to the Queen. the
Jerrell,
host.
all them phrases were like catnaps.
Right.
Thinking catnaps.
We have Uncle Freezy. Well, there's Aunt Freezy right here.
Auntie Freezy.
Oh, that's funny. Listen, I appreciate you guys, Jerrell, Ajay, Jeff. Man, you guys make this fun. I don't care how tired I am. You know, Thursday nights, I know you guys are gonna energize me, and we're gonna have a lot of fun. Wiz said he's had the Queen's condition for 4 years now. Yeah, it's contagious, man. It's contagious. Yeah, I appreciate you. I appreciate the chat too. You guys always show up consistently, and we just got a really, really good thing going here. Really good group. yeah, if you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. Subscribe to the channel. Sometimes we do pop-up shows. Geoff and I are on during the week, during lunchtime for the day after the Knicks play, and on the weekends, Saturdays around 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if the Knicks play Saturday, I'm looking for a Sunday partner. So if there's anybody out there that wants to do the recaps on Sundays at 10 a.m. when the Knicks play Saturday games, it's not a lot of them. Yeah, let me know. But I appreciate you guys. Can somebody hit the end button? Until next time. Peace.
Sister, you one of a kind.
Yes.
Oh, sister, it's time you
That's
shine. Dope soul.
Where you at? Where you at?
Dope soul.
Where you at? Where you at?
Dope